Good afternoon, everyone, and it's hard to speak after such amazing talks, I must say. But the notion of just believing and trusting young people is so important, and International Youth Foundation has done that for the last 30 years. It's in our core, it's what we do by putting young people at the forefront and at the center of development. And just looking at the global challenges today, it is so urgent, it's inevitable that we look at the world's largest generation of young people and turn the terminology of youth bulge to demographic dividend for us, if we truly care about the challenges that are in front of us. So I'm just going to share 5 quick things of just my observations of the work that the foundation has been engaged in around youth-led development. One is we're at a university. In development sector, if you're really looking at finding the agency of young people, we need to fully leverage the formal education sector. 60% of our applicants from across the world, applicants, folks like them around the world, thousands of people who apply for the program, 60% of them said that universities and formal education sector did not prepare them to create change in communities. As institutions and systems that was meant to mold the minds of millions of people to be leaders in the society, I think it is time for us to really reevaluate the role of formal education. First thing. Second, let's not shy away from making empathy, compassion, and kindness as key ingredients in all our development programs. I am absolutely frustrated that when I talk about empathy and compassion and love that you saw here as they talked, when I use that word, development organizations cringe. Funders put their head behind. And the very fundamental values that have made us humans, we are so scared to use that as our development outcomes. Let's have the courage to use it when we talk about development, those very same values. %80 of our folks who applied for the program, that they got into it, they got motivated to do it by being exposed to social issues and being empathetic. So we have a generation which is ready to do that. It's up to us of how best to engage them. Third, we always consider a lot of youth cultures, online, arts, entertainment, all this music stuff, sometimes very threatening in development sector. However, and we try to bring young people out of those cultures, we don't meet them where they're at. I think it's time for us to really meet where the young people already are at, and actually be okay with the cultures that they have developed, and actually leverage those cultures to create societal impact. Fourth, I would recommend us to have the courage to take risk in development sector. Let's have that audacity. I look at business sector where it's pretty common. You can go without a fully fledged impact, work in government, everything, and you can pitch something. In development sector, you ask experience. Have you worked with government before? How much have you scaled? For goodness gracious. I mean, these are young people who have decided to take some very important challenges in life. Why don't we treat these youth-led development as research and development for the development sector itself? Have we ever thought about that? The agility, the innovation, what they bring to the table is so profound that in development sector, it's time for us to look at youth-led change as research and development for the sector itself. And fifth, focus on grassroots network. Youth are turning away from top-down systems. Systems are losing credibility. We did a global millennium survey as part of our Youth Wellbeing Index with Hilton Corporation. 2 out of 3 young people said the government does not care about them. 81% of our applicants from all around the world say that they did not receive support of any kind from key institutions in their communities. Yet, this generation is most hyper-connected, they are trans-local and hyper-local. So we, in development sector, do not have any idea of how to best work with them. It is time for us to build that capacity for ourselves, to look at them, the translocal, hyper-connected generation, of how to leverage their passion points for creating change. It's not about them, it's the problem with us. So, just few data points from Global Millennium Viewpoint Survey. 94% of young people said that everyone should have equal rights. 84% said we should help those who are less fortunate. 91% said the divide between rich and poor is too wide. So we have a generation which values justice and equity. We have a generation that wants an education that prepares them to see the world in a different way. And a generation that is hyper-connected and translocal, but also a generation that does not trust systems. So ladies and gentlemen, maybe the time is now to not just focus on whether we are doing things right, but rather focus on if we are doing the right thing.